Welcome to the Sustainability Dialogues. Sustainability Dialogues are a forum for discussing all things sustainable. There is a tendency to believe that sustainability is only about environment and green stuff, but actually, while that is correct, sustainability also includes social and economic impact and the work that happens in that space. Today, Blue Sky, which is the only accredited inspection body for CSR and CSR projects which contribute to sustainable development, and India CSR, which is one of the largest credible platforms for all things CSR. They are known for introducing new ideas and new trends in the CSR space. We both have got together and we are doing a series of sustainability dialogues with experts in the space, with companies who are doing some challenging, interesting stuff. And today we have with us Mr. Dinesh Agarwal. Thank you, sir, for being a part of the Sustainability Dialogue. Dinesh ji is an ex-sustainability head of NTPC, and he has had a lifetime of experience working on livelihood programs. He's also been a member of, he is a member of Bureau of Indian Standards and has been an actively contributed to the development of ISO 26000 guidance on social responsibility and national voluntary guidelines. So today we are going to be discussing some of his experiences and seeing how it has contributed to the sustainable development of the region and the project. So Dinesh ji, welcome to the dialogues. And you have so much of experience on livelihood programs. And what, according to your experience and your views, are the important points that organizers and implementers need to keep in mind while designing livelihood programs?
Yeah, I started working on this issue quite a long back, sometime in 1986, under the three different programs of the rehabilitation resettlement, CSR, and the government schemes. What I have seen is that when we have to design a program, the first and foremost thing is to look at and assess the capability of the individual person for whom we are designing the livelihood program, whether we are able to exploit his full potential. Each person has a different capacity and capability. If we do not assess that, then it will have a different impact on the livelihood program. If a person is not having an attitude for that program, and many a time they do not have, suppose a person is having an attitude for doing agriculture, but we put them in the animal husbandry, and he doesn't like the animals, whether he will be successful for that or not.
Yeah,
so
true.
there are aspects of the individual's capability and capacity, which is dependent on his attitude, on his skill, on his knowledge, and on his habits. Now, somewhere a person is getting up early in the morning, but he has to work late in the evening, then it will not work at all.
Absolutely.
So all these four aspects are critical, and which is often ignored in most of the livelihood program, and it makes a big impact on the success of the livelihood program.
True.
The second aspect which make an impact is on how much he should earn. And we normally focus on a fixed amount, whereas the focus should be on the standard of living. How we improve his standard of living, which is more than a minimum earning capability that is only for survival. So he has to take care of his family. He has to take care of his growth of the family. The family will become bigger. He has to take care of the future requirement and the aspirations of the children and his family. So it has to be a growing phenomena. It cannot be a static thing that a fixed amount he has to earn and for which we should design a livelihood program.
Yeah.
And the third and most important aspect is the sustainability aspect. In sustainability aspect, it becomes a very different ball game because we have to look at it from the future point of view also. A person may be having a very good earning today, but what will happen, say, after 5 years? The technology will change, the social aspect will change, the economics will change, so many things will change. A person earlier was having a very good earning as a stenotypist, But now with
now
the
we don't know.
computer, there is no requirement of a stenotypist.
Yeah.
Even you go to the even in the courts also, you don't find any typist now because everything is getting computerized. And now if we say that okay, we planned something very nicely about the typing, and it will fail. It is bound to fail.
Absolutely
So
right.
in the sustainability aspect, we have to look at the future aspect very well.
Yeah, very true. So, go ahead, please go ahead.
So,
you go ahead.
in the sustainability aspect, we had a very good project on the PCO, and it was a highly successful thing. There was a huge demand. In fact, there was long queue in front of his PCO. But now with the development of the STD, which is accessible with everyone, and with the mobile phone now, there is no need for a PCO. Nobody goes to a PCO.
Absolutely not. Everybody has a phone. And now with data being so cheap, everybody has smartphones and they have data at their fingertips. PCO, I mean, we'll have to keep it as a museum piece somewhere, say aisa bhi hota tha.
And it was very much in demand. It was in a very high demand, and everyone will say, just give me a PCO. I don't want anything else. These are the aspects, and the one has to take care of it in the livelihood programs. And there are many. Tell me.
So you mentioned how the livelihood programs, the need or the actual livelihood programs change with the times, and that's what we are seeing now, during the COVID times and how we recover responsibly post-COVID. The world has changed, and I mean, underlining the point that you were saying, that what was very, very much in demand 10 years back is not even like it's a museum piece now.
Right.
So what, according to you, should be, like for all the people who are working in the livelihood field, what is it that they should keep in mind when they are planning, for the future, when they're recovering normally? I come across many companies who have invested crores on CSR funds, but now they sort of realize that the projects that they had invested in are no longer relevant. No longer relevant. It's so much of money gone down the drain. It's not with bad intention, but they weren't prepared to be sustainable. So what, according to you, would you suggest, with your experience, that for all the new recovering responsibly programs, what should they be looking at?
Actually, the basic problem with the CSR is that the corporates have a dual approach. When they have their own project, their own product for marketing, they have a different approach. They do a detailed market survey. They don't do a need assessment survey. In the CSR, the company is not at all bothered about the market at. And there is a new concept of the need assessment survey, as if a person will just want to meet the basic need. Nobody wants to now limit their own aspirations to basic need. They have much higher aspirations.
Sure, why not?
And therefore,
everybody
it has to be based on the market survey. And the market survey concept is very different. I will tell you one story, a small story. A person went to a shoe maker, sent a person to Africa for selling the shoes. He went there, he saw there that nobody was wearing a shoe. And he said there is no market at all because people don't wear the shoe. And there was another person who was sent, and he said, no, there is a huge market because nobody wears the shoe. So everyone needs a shoe.
So it's the thing about what the market needs, and but Dinesh, you had a great you had those suggestions on the venture fund aspect of livelihood programs.
Now that's a very interesting thing which I feel is important in the CSR. Now, we have to link CSR or we have to deal with CSR similar to the corporates. They deal with their own product and services. Now, what they do when they have to establish a new sort of a company, a small company with a new idea, they don't get the funding easily. They go to the venture capital fund. Now, venture
Yes,
fund
I like that.
is doing a sort of a evaluates the project in deep, see the value of the idea, not the value of the market or need. They don't look at the market survey, they don't look at the need assessment survey, they look at the value of the idea.
Brilliant.
And based on that, they do a sort of a hand holding.
Yes.
They don't support him, they don't, sort of carry him on a platter, but they do a hand holding and keep a vigilance on him that, okay, he's performing well or not, as per the project report. But in the CSR, you see, the approach is very different. In the CSR, mostly you will find approach is paternalistic. The company comes up with the idea. The company takes the idea to the person who has to implement it. The company says, I will support you with everything, with getting the raw material, with processing it, making a product, and also selling it in the market. Now, there is no fire with the sort of a beneficiary. Now, that makes a difference. There has to be a fire in the belly of the beneficiary. And then only the livelihood program will succeed. I have seen many programs where in one area, at one location, the program succeeds exceedingly well, whereas in another area, it fails miserably. And I compare it with the corporate, and the corporate also you will find that an airline, for example, succeeds very well, is very profitable, and with the similar approach, same manpower, same system, same processes, another airline fails miserably.
But it links it back to what you're saying, that when you're designing livelihood programs to be sustainable, when you match the attitude and the aspiration of the beneficiary to the program, that is when it sort of gets sustainable. When, like whatever you're investing in the sustainable programs, there's an impact which is there for a longer period of time when you're matching the capability with the program. And I really like the idea what you said about getting the value, like the way a venture capitalist would look at the value of an idea and not just the product. So when you're looking at livelihood programs, suggesting that you look at the value of the livelihood program, what is the value that it is contributing to the particular community or a set of people, then it becomes sustainable. Because if it is valuable, then there is a fire in the belly. It's not a free gift which is being given in a paternalistic manner by a corporate, but it's about involving the beneficiary to ensure that the livelihood program is sustainable. I think it's such a brilliant idea, and I sincerely hope our listeners will pick this idea up, get in touch with you, we'll share your contact details, and I hope this idea gets a lot more discussion in other forums as well as ours. Thank you so much, Dinesh ji. Thank you for the lovely discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for giving this opportunity.
My pleasure.